What is NFTs? If you see recently, like I think for a year or so, NFT become one of the top thing. Cryptocurrency. If you heard about cryptocurrencies, this one become hotter than cryptocurrencies. In my opinion, it's like before I watch this video. In my opinion, it's a picture that is created in blockchain. So whoever making that picture is the only owner of that picture, and people can say, you can just screenshot and copy the same thing. Yeah, that's right, but the thing is, your name, even if you screenshot and put the same picture, you're not on the blockchain. Like, you're not the owner of the certain picture. So you can be an owner of a digital asset. Nobody can copy the same image and own it on blockchain. That's the specialty of NFTs. And it's not only a picture. It can be music, it can be movies, it even going to be books, and people are thinking about selling homes on NFTs. So there are so many things about it. I'm watching Strife Highs. He's talking about NFTs. Now let's go and listen to him.
Are NFTs. How do they work? Why does everyone seem to be buying or selling them? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Strife Hayes, and in this video I'm going to explain the NFT craze in the simplest way I possibly can. I won't be going into super deep technical depth, such as gas fees or residual taxation. Instead, I want to explain the basic concept using relatable, real-world scenarios so you can finally wrap your head around something which is honestly very confusing. I'll try to explain everything, from the inception of the NFT idea, to why the art connected to them is so strange, to why people keep saying things like NFT games or metaverse. Before we start, a massive thank you to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep this channel alive. More on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. With 2.7 million NFTs in existence and that number increasing daily, the NFT boom is definitely here. But with only 360,000 people actually owning any, it seems to be a very exclusive club. Nearly 300 million people in the world are actively involved in cryptocurrency. This means only 0.1% of cryptocurrency users are also involved in NFTs. So what is this super exclusive club all about? And why is the McDonald's McRib an NFT? Let's start at the very beginning. Imagine I wanted to sell you nothing. That would be great for me. I'd get money and you'd get, well, nothing. How could I do this? I ask you if you want to buy nothing, and you say no, and rightfully so, because people don't like nothing. What people like is status or rarity. Now, in a digital world, scarcity is a strange concept because everything digital is just ones and zeros. You can recreate data as much as you need, but what if I created artificial digital scarcity? Data which could not be recreated or reproduced. Imagine I create a database with a limited number of spaces in it, each space identified with a unique number. It can help to visualize this as a long queue of people, a line with places for people to stand. The queue doesn't go anywhere, and there's no inherent value to be standing in one spot over any other spot, but it's there. And I sell people a position on this queue. Let's say there are 9,999 places in the queue, and I sell you the right to stand in a place for £1. It's important to understand I'm not selling you the entire queue or the experience at the end of it, because there is none. I'm not selling you the land you're standing on. What I'm selling you is the right to stand there and to say, this is your queue position. I might even give you a bit of paper which reads, Strife Hayes hereby declares the bearer of this paper can stand in this queue position. And then I sign it so no one else can make this exact bit of paper. Your position in the queue, or the paper which states your position, is a token, and it cannot be recreated. It is, in economical terms, non-fungible. To be fungible means to be replaced by another identical item. And because you cannot have another queue position 1, it cannot be replaced. When you buy a position in the queue, absolutely nobody else can buy that position. And to make sure no duplicates can happen, I've hired a guy called Mr. Blockchain to check every single sale of any queue position. Once I've sold the right to stand in that position to you, it will be listed on the public blockchain. So there's no doubt about who currently has that position. And if you want to sell your queue position to someone else, that's fine. You can do that. This sale will also be recorded on the blockchain. But why would anyone want to buy a position in a queue? It doesn't go anywhere. There's no value to any of the places over any of the others. Well, here's the next trick. Human beings are visual creatures. We like art. And while every position in the queue does have a numerical value, numbers don't have the appeal or the shareability of pictures. So next to every position in this queue, I put up a poster. My plan is this. I'm going to put a different picture on every single poster, and buying the position in the queue will let you stand by a particular poster. It's important to remember, you do not own the poster. You do not own the picture on the poster. You cannot reproduce the picture on the poster, or sell copies, or claim ownership of it. What you own is the right to say you are the only person able to stand in a specific queue position next to a specific poster. You cannot prevent other people looking at your poster because you don't own it. You own the right to stand next to it. Now people are a bit more interested because people want to say, this is my picture. Remember, it's not. It's your space on the database and this picture is connected to it. But for my goal of selling you nothing, I'm making quite decent progress. But now I have another problem. I need to produce 9,999 different pictures, and that's going to take me quite a long time. So I need to streamline the process. Thankfully, I can do that. Remember, there are 9,999 spaces in the queue that I've created, essentially meaning 9,999 individual entries on the database, and purchasing that space gives you the non-fungible token, or NFT, of that space. Remember, the NFT isn't the picture, or the sound, or the video, or whatever I choose to link to that space to make it identifiable. The NFT is just the right to say, this is my position on this particular database. And the images are just linked to them as visual representations of that digital position. Now I could sit down and draw 9,999 individual pictures, but this would take me far too long. So instead, I make a machine which can generate them for me. Remember those children's flip books divided into sections horizontally with different heads and bodies and feet, and you could flip the pages in random orders to create different looking characters? My machine kind of works like that. I make an image generating machine. I give the machine 10 different background colors, 10 possible face shapes, 10 different hairstyles, and then 10 different accessories. And your queue position, your NFT number, helps generate the image next to your spot. The first number will give you the background color, the second will give you a face shape, the third will give you your hairstyle, and the fourth will give you your accessory. With this system, I have just created 9,999 different unique bits of artwork, allowing each position in my queue to have a different image associated with it. In case you ever wondered why so much NFT art looks like it's just been generated by a machine using the variables of the NFT data to randomly composite a picture, it's because that's exactly what they're doing. The majority of NFT pictures aren't artistic expressions, they're corporate visual representations of an algorithmic position. This is also why artists are having their work stolen from image hosting sites at an astounding rate, because it's easier to steal an image, attach it as a visual representation for your own NFT, and sell it to someone else than it is to make your own art. So now my idea of selling you nothing is looking a lot more inviting to you, because you don't see it as buying nothing anymore. You see it as buying a one-of-a-kind artwork, or song, or video, or whatever I've decided to attach to each individual position on the queue to make it more appealing. But again, please remember, the NFT is proof of your position in the queue. It is the numerical value of your position in the database. It is not the artwork or file associated with that position. You do not own whatever is attached to it to make it more appealing. I've just attached that to it so you have something to point at and say you are linked to. Another way to picture it is this. Imagine I have 9,999 receipts for various items from a shop, and each receipt has a different item, and each receipt couldn't be reproduced. These receipts are non-fungible tokens, and you could buy them from me. Now, you wouldn't have the item on the receipt, you just have the receipt. And you could show it to someone else and they could say, oh wow, does this mean you own some milk? And you'd say, no, I own a bit of paper created by that guy which says milk on it. And you can be sure, thanks to Mr. Blockchain, that no one else owned the milk paper that I've made. But that's not to say no one else owns milk paper, because if someone else started their own NFT collection selling positions on their own queue, could they use the same visual representations as someone else? Could they use the same posters as me, or very slightly different versions? Could they also sell you a receipt which said milk? Well, yes. Because remember, you're not buying the rights to the image, you're buying the place in the queue next to the image. It would actually be up to the copyright holder of the image, if there is any, to follow legal action to stop anyone else using them. And this is complicated because we've not sold you the images, we're using them as connected visual representations. So let's say you buy the NFT, and that NFT is associated with an image. So you proudly post the image, and then someone right-clicks it and saves it and shares it. Have they stolen your image? Well, no, because you do not and never actually did own the rights to license the image. All it was a visual connection to your place within a giant digital database. And what the blockchain is making sure of is no one else has your specific place. The blockchain doesn't really care what image is associated with your place. It cares about your place being unique in itself. If another position in another queue uses an identical image, that's not really the blockchain's problem. So why is every company trying to sell you NFTs now? Well, honestly, why wouldn't they? It's basically free money for them. Let's take the new Castlevania NFTs, which have unfortunately now appeared. Any company can create a giant database and sell you a place on it, but humans are visual creatures. We want to point to something and say, that's mine. So the companies take from their vast bank of game artwork or concept art, and they associate each position on their database with an image. So when a company sells you the NFT linked to an item, they're not selling you the item, the rights to the item, the copyright of the item, or the ownership of the artwork. They're selling you a position which lets you point to the picture and say, this image represents my position. If you purchase Dracula's castle, it does not mean you own Dracula's castle. So how do you create an NFT? Well, that's a tad more complex than this video is really going to go into, but simply put, anyone can mint an NFT on one of the various sites, and the blockchain will check that your specific variable is unique, and then you can sell it. To use the queue example, anyone can start digging a new queue anywhere they like, but Mr. Blockchain will make sure that the construction of your queue does not build on top of an already existing queue. It must have a unique place, but the images that you attach to the places to represent them do not need to be unique. So why does everyone keep saying owning an NFT of a video game thing will allow you to use that thing in other games? Well, that's quite simple. It's because people are idiots. Someone told me if I purchased the NFT of a certain weapon in a certain game, then my ownership of it would allow me to take that weapon into another game and use it there. This is just straight up wrong. Different video games are created in different programming languages with different architecture, and you cannot simply place an asset from one into another. Imagine putting a PlayStation disc into an Xbox. It wouldn't work. Imagine you bought a burger from a burger place and you took the receipt to a bowling alley and said, I want to use the burger bowling ball, I have the receipt for the burger. They'd be confused. You don't own the burger bowling ball because they don't use the same receipt system. They don't have one. Your purchase from one place does not guarantee you'll be able to use it in another. So why would anyone buy NFTs when they're only usable locally within their own queue system and they don't actually have any inherent value? What purpose is there to standing in a queue that doesn't go anywhere? Why have your name associated with a unique placement on a database which is linked to an artwork but does not grant ownership of the artwork? Well, I can see 4 main reasons people would purchase an NFT. Number 1, they don't understand what they're buying. A lot of people think purchasing the NFT represented by an image means you own the image, or buying the NFT represented by a song means you own the song. And as we've seen, you don't. I think the majority of naive or younger purchasers fall into this category. They're buying without fully understanding what they actually now own. The second reason is to sell onwards, and this is the main part of the scam. Because the whole appeal of an NFT is its own digital scarcity. Remember, that's the scarcity of the position in the queue, the database variable, not the artwork. People will assume that they will appreciate in value because they cannot be copied. They are non-fungible. If I buy the NFT represented by an image and then convince someone else this image is desirable and therefore the NFT linked to it is also desirable, they'll want to buy it from me for more than I paid. I'll make profit. This is what we're seeing with the vast majority of NFT scams popping up. Companies or individuals minting vast amounts of NFTs and trading them around to generate hype. We'll look at insider trading more in a minute. The third reason to purchase an NFT is to support the company selling them. Maybe you directly value the company and you want to be a part of history. You want to be able to say, yeah, I own Dracula's castle. That would be cool. But again, remember, you don't own the castle. And legally, you can't say that you do. Or the fourth reason, and this is the saddest one, just to be in the community. The whole NFT craze is a giant community, bordering on a cult for some people. Humans want to feel involved and accepted. People like to feel they belong to a group. So when you see meetups of people who all bought those monkey NFTs, it's tribal. It's the exclusive group they are in and you are not. Others cannot afford to be in it. It's a digital flex. You are not as wealthy as they are. It's the incredibly shallow mindset of showing that they can afford to spend a lot of money on that NFT and therefore they are better than you. Your desire to join that club increases if you want to be like these people. If you value status and you have enough money to spend without caring, it's the online equivalent of buying a designer shirt. We looked earlier at how 0.1% of all crypto users hold an NFT. Well, it gets even more top heavy, because less than 10% of NFT owners hold around 80% of the total wealth of all currently available NFTs. So let's cycle back and ask, if every trade of an NFT is tracked by the blockchain, how can anyone get scammed? Surely you could just find out who the scammer was by looking at the records. Well, yes. And while the blockchain tracks trades between online wallets, people buying these NFTs don't always do their research. Imagine you were following an NFT and you saw someone bought it for £1 and sold it for £5, and then that person sold it for 10, then 20, then 100, then 500. You'd think, wow, this thing is desirable. I need to buy it now and sell it on for my own profit. You want a slice of that pie. So you buy it for 600, and then you discover all of those previous trades going up in value have actually been between friends, or between the same person with different digital wallets, or different companies artificially inflating the price, hoping someone just like you would fall for it and buy it. They've not actually told you to buy it. They've also not told you it's going to increase. You bought it for a value you were happy for. They haven't necessarily scammed you, but they have tricked you. Now, you can claim that this is insider trading to artificially increase desirability, and of course that is illegal, but who's going to police it? Does a digital good fall under the jurisdiction of the country it's currently being held in on whatever server, or the country it's going to, or the country of whoever sold it, or whoever purchased it, or who created it? Is it a financial security, an asset? Is it artwork or currency? Do you work off the value of the data itself or the payments made for the data? It's still so new that world governments are still figuring this out, which is why using NFTs to launder money is still so common. So let's go back to the original idea of me selling you nothing. Remember those companies who sold you land on the moon or sold you a star? And what they were actually doing was selling you a position on their locally held database which said, your name is associated with this star, or your name is now associated with this patch of land on the moon. Those companies didn't actually own the rights to sell that, but no one else did either, so no one could claim ownership of it. What you were buying was the novelty of saying you owned it. NFTs work in a somewhat similar way, except instead of selling you something no one owns, they're selling you the privilege of claiming ownership of a small space on a database that they themselves created, and every sale is corroborated on the blockchain. I've created the queue, and all the positions in that queue are on unique bits of land with unique identifying numbers behind the scenes. Mr. Blockchain has checked this, and I've paid him to do so. And then I associate each position in the queue with an image to give you some visual representation to associate with the purchase of that position, and then I start selling the positions. Now, every single position is essentially the same, but whoever buys 0001 is going to have slightly higher status, because we value the number 0001 more than any other random 4 digits, which means they can then convince you to buy that position from them simply because it's desirable. It doesn't do anything, but you want it. The problem is, anyone else can now create their own queue. There are hundreds, thousands, possibly tens of thousands of queues being created, and Mr. Blockchain is validating every single one. Remember, they're not checking that each individual picture associated with a spot is unique. They're checking each individual queue location or digital location is. What the owner of that NFT gets given to represent that space is up to the person who created that space. If it helps, imagine removing all of the artwork, all the pictures, and replacing them with just strings of ones and zeros. Every NFT, the space on the database, is still represented with a unique picture. The picture is now just a binary string. If you did this, the actual practical features do not change at all. The only reason we use pictures or icons or spinning GIFs is to give us something pretty to look at. The NFT itself, the non-fungible token, is simply proof of purchase, of receipt, of a unique, simple bit of digital data which no one else can claim ownership of at any given moment. But how does the original creator benefit once they've been sold? Well, some NFTs can have long-term taxes attached to them, and every time a trade is made from user to user, the blockchain will notice this, and a small percent will go back to the original creator, leading to residual royalties forever. So the next time you want to laugh at someone for spending thousands of pounds on buying a picture of a monkey, remember they don't actually own a picture of a monkey. They own the rights to say they own a position on a database which is represented by the visualization of a monkey, which only maintains its value because people think it has value. And if everyone suddenly stopped caring tomorrow, it would be worth nothing. The entire NFT space is a speculation market, and the fluctuating values and intangibility of the NFT itself makes them incredibly hard to tax, which is why right now the system is a haven for money laundering. Companies are jumping on the let's sell NFTs bandwagon because it essentially allows them to double dip into their associated in-game assets. If you as a company have already got thousands of graphical assets for your game and you want to make even more money and convince fans they are buying a piece of history, then you'd simply mint thousands of NFTs, artificially rare, non-reproducible positions on a digital chain. Then you'd associate each position with an image, but not ownership or copyright transfer for the image itself, and then you'd sell those NFTs, positions on the chain. If someone owns an NFT, it will only maintain its value if other people want it, so they always have a vested interest in convincing you it is valuable and you should buy it. That's why NFT bros are so vocal about their support for the entire system. It's built on believing it works. So, a non-fungible token is a receipt granted to you by the owner of a specific NFT collection of your current authority in an exceptionally limited capacity over a position on a database, which is represented visually by a picture but is itself not the picture. The value of any given NFT is linked to who created it, who has owned it before you, who is selling it now, and which artwork, if any, is associated as the visual representation of it. Please don't take this video as an exclusive or comprehensive guide. This was more to explain the basics. It's worth going and doing more research on the topic and looking further into the complexities of a system that just exists to part people from their money while providing essentially nothing. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you again to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter and Discord. Or the second channel, Josh Strife Plays, where I review old games voted on by you. As always, have a great day.
Okay guys, let's actually see the comment section. What are they saying about it? It's actually scary how much NFTs remind me of RuneScape scam I used to do when I was younger. So in short, the last person that ends up owning the monkey is the idiot. The sooner this backstage die, the better. Thank you for doing your part. My understanding is that it's even worse than this. The picture that your NFT is pointing to is particularly just a URL on the internet, which could change at any time and which will likely stop working within few years when the company hosting goes out of business or switches their server off. This is the most common collected way of saying NFTs is a fucking scam I seen ever. Yeah, it seems like it's a scam, but some of the most credible people are doing it, so I'm not sure. Um, if you can make money on it, why not do that? So if you're trying, it's it's better to give a shot if you really want to try, because I'm gonna give my shot from March and see how it works, because it seems like it works for some people. If it works, you are lucky, but if it don't work, you could the thing is, you could earn a lot of money or you can lose a lot of money, so both can happen. So if you're trying to invest in NFTs, make sure you are ready to lose those money, or not going full on it. Like, let's say you are investing, so you can invest in real estate, I mean not only real estate, stock market, cryptocurrencies, ETFs, NFT, or you can be a real estate investor. So think about dividing those investment into 5 places. Like, you can invest some portion of your investment in stocks, cryptocurrencies, ETFs, and real estate, and put some on NFT and see how it works. If it works, it's good, but if it not work, you can lose money. That's the only thing you have to remember. What do you guys think about NFT? Just put it in the comment section. Thanks for watching.